Evening, folks. Brian here. Sunday, June 16, 2024. A little bit more about this equator relocating to Kentucky nonsense. There was quite a few people who made some inappropriate comments. What are you talking about? I can't stand rudeness. I already explained it in my last video. I'll do it again. So there's some claims by this Mike from Around the World Council at the time. And Jesse from the Real BP Earthwatch took that information from him and made his video. They are claiming that in 18 months, the equator of the planet will be moving to Kentucky. When I first heard that, and other statements made, a bunch of red flags started popping up for me. Let's explain a few things. The equator always remains perpendicular to the axis rotation of the planet. It doesn't move. The equator, it doesn't move. However, there is a yearly drift of about 30 feet. Now, Earth's axial tilt oscillates between 22.1 and 24.5 degrees due to gravitational influences from our sun, the moon, the planets, and hey, the only way for the Earth to shift way beyond 24 degrees is from the binary system coming in. We'll notice it. We're only seeing the beginning effects. Now, it's not a question about continental drift because that's measured in geological timescales, millions and millions of years. Now, for this repeated assertion that the equator is going to relocate 1,290 miles north to Kentucky, made a big mistake on that one. That means the current location of the equator has to be running through the Yucatan Peninsula, Caribbean Sea, Puerto Rico, and so on. It's running through Galapagos, Colombia, and so on, middle of Africa. And again, the equator doesn't move. The black line here is the equator. And again, it always remains perpendicular to the rotation of Earth's axis. This is Earth's axis. These flags are the geomagnetic poles. Ignore those for now. So it doesn't matter which way the Earth is tilted. The equator remains the same. The only way the equator can shift from here to all the way up here is for the continents, all of North America and the connecting South America, to slip underneath the equator through an unlocking of the crust from the mantle. Which is not happening right now. So again, he has repeatedly said it will move 1,290 miles to the north. That means it has to already be right here, the equator. The equator already has to be here. Which it's not. Big mistake. Now, I've heard Mike say that, well, the equator moves. The equator is not like the changing jet streams, for example. So again, only through a crustal displacement. That will rip all the volcanic areas, like Yellowstone, for example, off of their feeding mantle plumes or hot spots. What do you think is going to happen? (1,290 miles) is from the Yucatan Peninsula, Caribbean Sea, Puerto Rico. The equator doesn't move. The equator, in a sense, is the closest spot to the sun. If you do an axial tilt, the equator remains the same. And how can anybody say in 18 months there's going to be a crustal displacement? That's the only way that the equator can be over Kentucky, is this: if North America is unlocked and slides underneath the equator. And again, he has said that, and the other one said that no one can live in the equator. How many people live in Colombia right now? I've been to the equator. I've been right at the equator in Indonesia. So that's what I'm talking about. This it's not what I'm talking about. I'm calling them out on it. People are making the claim that in 18 months, the equator is going to move north 1,290 miles, and it's going to end up in the region of Kentucky, Tennessee region, and that it will affect all of America. And the statement that Canada will be getting some company, and I hope it's not another war, as in another war with Canada. Someone's credibility is really coming into question with me. And he has to explain and show his data. Oh, he said by the end of the week. One moment, please. It is 23:57 Pacific Coast time. 3 minutes before midnight. You got 3 minutes to produce your data. He also said that by the end of this week, there was going to be a week-long event among all Western countries, a week-long test, and that we should not be alarmed. This concludes today's lessons.